Hello, everyone. I'm ELENA GEORGIou. Welcome to the Global Council Network podcast. I'm a Global Survivor Ambassador and Global Changemaker, gender-based violence expert, co-host of the Miss Texas Show, author, winner of the International Book Awards, Humanitarian Award, Featured Storyteller Award. I'm also the Global Council Network's founder. I started the Global Council Network initiative in 2023 to bridge the world and join the forces to end abuse. I'm aiming for 195 countries. So far, I have reached 28 countries in February. And I'm also the host of the Global Council Network's podcast. Through this podcast, you will learn the story behind our active members, advocates, community leaders, and change makers fighting to end gender-based violence, early child marriages, and teenage pregnancy, child sexual abuse and trafficking, and many other stories. These are real stories that are happening today in the fast-growing society. Today, we will discuss Vulnerable Children and Dr. Richard's Center for Humanitarianism, Action, and Development. It's an organization that focuses on vulnerable children and orphans and the empowerment of women living in poverty. Humanitarian action aims to protect and save lives, prevent human suffering, and meet basic needs. And Dr. Jam Richard is an active member of the Global Council Network, and he's here with me to share more about his fantastic work. Dr. Jam Richard is a Cameroonian, and he has a bachelor's degree in philosophy, theology, law, and public administration, master's degree in project management and agriculture economics, and a PhD in peace building and conflict resolution. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Center of Humanitarian Action and Development. He's also the founder of the African Youth Forum for Leadership, Empowerment, and Sustainable Development. And he's here to share more about his organization. Welcome, Dr. Richard. And I'm very excited that you're here with us today.
Thank you, Helena. Thank you so much for all the work you are doing and for the global action, the vision that the global action has. Like you said, I am Dr. Jam Richard from Cameroon, living and working in Abuja. I am a priest. In the first place, I'm a priest and a humanitarian. I work for the Center for Humanitarian Action and Development. And the Center for Humanitarian Action and Development is a humanitarian organization that was created and founded by Germaine Bia, a Cameroonian living and working in Canada. So the Center for Humanitarian Action and Development is found in Nigeria, precisely in Abuja, in Cameroon, precisely in Boya, and then with offices that are still to be created in Brampton, Canada, and in Ohio in the US. So for the Center for Humanitarian Action and Development has as a goal or main focus the care for humanitarian actions for women and children. We take care of vulnerable children and orphans, this group of children who most often find themselves wanting in the society for no fault of theirs, and also the empowerment of women living in abject poverty, those women who live on less than $1 in a day. So the organization seeks to bring hope to vulnerable children, bring hope to women in abject poverty, and bring hope to orphans, both those in orphanages and in different homes. We are an organization that has done a lot for vulnerable children and women, most especially in Nigeria. We carried out a project last November in Agbo village in the Benue state in Nigeria. Benue state is found in the middle belt of Nigeria. And we empowered a group of women in that village in the Gwe East local government area to be able to create a microfinance so that they could bring in money and put together. So we gave them startup capitals to create a microfinance and orange production community development program to help the women so that they can be able to have something that will guide and help them as they grow as funds. The Middle Belt in Benue region is one of the greatest producers of oranges in Nigeria. So these women work oranges, cassava, and yam. But then people come to exploit them and buy at very cheap rates. So creating this group, bringing them together is to homologate and harmonize their prices. So it is a project that is currently ongoing and that we intend to extend to other parts of Nigeria and Africa. Also, of this month, February, on the 8th of February to be precise, we started a project in Asaba. Asaba is in the east. We started a project in Asaba to empower women. Why women are not children? Because first of all, when you empower the woman, you are indirectly empowering the child. So we are looking forward to giving something to the mothers so that they can be able to start up capital. We give them startup capital to help them begin a business of their choice. Before we begin, we have a feasibility study. We carry out studies to look at what projects we can fund and what we cannot. So we are also looking forward to September, which is the start of the academic year, to be able to provide didactic material for children and school fees for some. We look forward to 100% scholarships for some. The criteria will be based on their level of financial stability. So what do we do with the women? We empower them. Empower them in what ways? Not only giving them startup capital, but train them on financial literacy. Financial literacy will help them to be able to know about investment, savings, and withdrawal. It will guide them in that, so that at the end of the day, when you give them the startup capital, they will use it judiciously to be able to carry out activities. And last month, we met at Gwarimpa. Gwarimpa is in Abuja, a locality in Abuja. We met with women of the Bororo. The Bororo is a group of women who are a minority group. And you know, the minority group, sometimes they suffer from a lot. They suffer from a lot of things like discrimination, and they are hardly really accepted into the community. So last month we met with them, and we are to begin a project with them precisely in April, the first week of April, between the 1st and the 4th of April, that first weekend of April, we are to begin a project with them to train them how to produce. They have already so many cattle. They produce locally made milk. In Cameroon, we call it kosam. They produce this locally made milk, but they cannot produce in large quantity. Why? Because they don't have the capital. So we are working on creating a dairy production plan somewhere in Gwarimpa for them. They already have the project, so we'll only partner with them to make sure that that project goes on really well. And we are looking forward to partnering with many other organizations in Nigeria. We already have the network of Solidarity Women in Lagos that we are working with very closely to make sure that we join and put forces together to create an empowered woman. An empowered woman is an independent woman. First of all, women in Africa suffer a lot from discrimination. They are relegated in the background. And most, again, women in the suburbs, in the villages, without any tangible source of income. So they live at the mercy of men who treat them anyhow because they have no hope. And again, also, we focus mostly, among these women, we focus mostly on widows, those women who have nobody to stand with them, to stand for them. Most often their lands are seized when their husbands die, their houses are taken over by the husband's family, and so they have nobody to fight for them. So we are also looking at widows and how they can succeed in a cruel world, in a world that has relegated them to the background. So at the end of the day, the Center for Humanitarian Action and Development is out to empower women living in abject poverty, those women who have no food, no clothes, no shelter, no source of income, who live on pennies every day. We are out also to empower vulnerable children. By vulnerable children, we mean those children, those orphans, children who were born or whose parents died when they were still young and so on, or those vulnerable children whose parents are still alive but unable to give them a quality education, to clothe them and to feed them. So we come to these persons. We have a number of strategies that we put in place to identify these communities. The very first is the fact that we try to get to local chiefs, the local community leaders, either the youth leader, the women leader, or the leader of the administrative, civil, administrative, and religious authorities. Most often now we have gotten through religious authorities who will talk in the community and in churches. We look for those people who have a high standing, who are respected in the society, so that they can be able to select the most vulnerable, so that at the end of the day, the help is given to those members of the communities who need it, so that it is not siphoned. And in the case of Benue State, I think I was there in person to give different programs and projects, to give talks on for the women, and to make sure that at the end of the day, the quality of training that they have will match and will help them to carry out successful projects. And every 3 months, we have a follow-up activities that they carry with the funds, so that at the end of the day, the funds are used judiciously. And we are also looking forward to creating community schools, so that we can be able to manage and see those children go through school, because sometimes it's not easy to gather many vulnerable children and pay fees for them. But creating a community school, will be able to get didactic material for the school, get teachers, and get other community leaders to help in the project, in building the children towards nation building, in building them towards a successful future. So community schools, we have identified lands in Benue, in Boko local government area in Benue State, and also in Asaba in the east, and in Abuja. We have identified lands there, and we are working with the local chiefs the local chiefs to be able to get documents for the land so that in the next couple of months or years, these schools can go operational, where we can take children in different villages and send them to school without so much trying to pay fees for each child. There, we will just be responsible to provide their didactic materials and then take care of the teachers who will be teaching there. This way, many more children will benefit directly from the program, because giving them scholarship sometimes is not too easy. Sometimes it's not too easy to give scholarship to, say, 100 children without sufficient funds. So we look forward to giving women startup capital. We look forward to giving women skills to help them to acquire their skills, because without skills, even if you give them $1,000 or how much, no matter the amount, if you don't train them how to use it, they're going to misuse it, especially that they are coming from a poor background. So, and some of them are illiterate. So it makes the training also very difficult and tasking. So the Center for Humanitarian Action and Development also has, we also organize conferences and workshops for women. In these conferences, we train the women to be about self-reliant, to be able to be self-reliant. By self-reliance, we mean by that, the women should be able to depend on themselves and not on anybody, not on their husbands and not on the community to make ends meet. We train them on financial literacy. We train them on upkeep and care for the children, for their children. How do they take care of the children that they have? We also go towards looking at birth control methods, so that they will be able to control the number of children that they have, so that at the end of the day, they don't keep bringing children to the world who are going to come to suffer. So if it's a very large project that we are trying to carry out, and we are currently working on getting more communities involved. So I think that when we get many more communities involved, many more personnel involved, we're going to go to higher heights. So ELENA, in a nutshell, that is the Center for Humanitarian Action and Development. Here we are, and I thank you for listening, and I'll be waiting for any questions and clarifications that you have. Thank you again.
Thank you too, Dr. Jam Richard. It was, you're doing an incredible job, and thank you for doing that. And we need leaders like you in this world, and it gave me so much hope for a better tomorrow by listening to you. And I said, wow, this is very incredible. And it's I'm very honored that you're in the Global Council Network as an active member, and we can work together and achieve many things and massive change, and most of all for children. And the future belongs to our children, and we need to free them from abuse and all this that is happening. We have to educate them with new tools and techniques. And yes, we need educational centers. We need funders to fund us, because we're not going to leave our children like this as they are now. So I want to ask some questions. How do you feel being a leader and advocating for children and vulnerable children, orphans, and women, and empowering them?
I feel very happy doing it. First of all, myself, I lost my father when I was 7 years old. So I can imagine what I went through to be where I am today, and I imagine the children. So it's first of all a passion born from personal experience. In helping the children, I see myself. I see how I struggled to become who I am today. So I feel very happy, I feel elated, and I feel proud doing whatever I am doing today. And I thank the founder, Germaine Bia, who is an elder sister, for coming up with this organization.
It's a very good organization, and it's very needed. And all of us have a story behind what we're doing today. And I was going to ask you that question, and you answer it by yourself. So why are we doing what we're doing? It's always a story behind it. So you gave the answer about your life experience and why this is so much not a passion, it's connected to your heart and your mission and the calling that God gave you. And want to ask now another question about what target group are we dealing with? I mean the children. What's the age, risk, and tell us more about it.
We tackle children of school-going age from 3 years to about 21. From 3 years to about 21, we tackled that age group, but in extreme cases, we will hardly look at the age. We will take anyone who is suffering, but mostly children, those from primary school and secondary school, that will be between the ages of 3 and 18 years old. Yes. So that's the most probably age group that we are tackling.
Okay. And are you facing any challenges as far as this organization?
I think the very first challenge that we're facing is the inadequate personnel. We don't have enough personnel to go through the different activities that we have. We have a lot of work to be done, but we don't have personnel to carry out that work. First of all, because personnel will entail paying many more people to do the work. And secondly, we don't have, for now, we have not received fundings from outside. So our primary source of funding is just from within, especially from the founder. So as of now, we are limited. We don't have funds to help us do what we are doing. So we can only do with the small that we have. There are so many projects that we would have been carrying out in Nigeria, in Cameroon, and in Ghana if we had the funds. So
very essential.
I think, yes, those are we look forward to having funds from other organizations or partners, or to partner with other organizations to carry out very huge projects. But I think we have a number of partnerships that we will sign in the nearest future, so that if we have huge projects, each partner will chip in something small, so that at the end of the day, the burden is not so much on us. Thank you.
Yes, of course. And that's why you're an active member now in the Global Council Network. And we're going to work together and find the solutions for all of us, for the good of our children, always. And I wanted to ask you if you have any future plans. I mean, you said about projects. You want to share some of your projects, or these projects are going to help their children, I think, or the women.
We have, like I said, we're trying to create community schools in 3 different communities.
Okay.
That's the first project. We're trying to create community schools in 3 communities in Nigeria. And if possible in Cameroon, we're working towards that. It's a project that we're building so that we can empower many more children. In Cameroon, we have Nancy Care Foundation that runs a nursery and primary school. So it will be easier for us to have that, take many more children and send on scholarship. But our mega project is the women's conference that we intend to have in December 2023. We intend to bring together 1,000 women from all over Africa to come together for a conference in Abuja, Nigeria, or in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Why the women's conference? We want to empower women. We want to make women to see their role as nation builders so that they don't remain at the background. We are hoping to work with other organizations so that we will have projects of these women funded. We will look for the most vulnerable in different communities and make their voices heard so that they don't remain at the background. So we are working towards that, looking forward to having these women come together. We also intend to meet different women in different places in Nigeria. We are looking forward already to Port Harcourt in Nigeria in April 2023, this year, in a few weeks to come. And also in Enugu. Enugu is in the east. We're looking forward to going there sometime in July this year. So those are the major projects that we have, all trying to empower women. And when we're empowering women, we are looking for women who have vulnerable children, so that when you empower the mothers will in turn take care of the children. It also saves that you don't keep sponsoring the child every year, but when you empower the mother will be able to take care of the child and other children. Because if you come to a family of 5 and you take one child and sponsor, what becomes of the others? And sometimes because the others cannot feed, they will use the money that you are giving for that particular child to take care of the entire home. So at the end of the day, the purpose is not reached. The objectives are not reached, are not met, kind of. So those are the projects that we have. And we are also looking forward to collaborate very actively and work very actively with the global network, to work with you and every other member of this community. And we believe that it is not for nothing that our paths crossed. So we are ready to put in our best as an organization and also as an individual. I think I am ready to offer my services to the global network. And I talked with the founder about this meeting, and she is very excited, and I'm sure she too will offer her best for the growth of the global network. So once more, I thank you so much for this initiative, and we are ready to begin this journey.
Wow, I'm so excited. And please invite the founder of Humanitarian Action to our network. She is invited, and she can be a guest speaker also here in the podcast. And we're ready. Yes, we are. We are all ready to take action because our children need us. And they're vulnerable children that are abused, early child marriages, child sexual abuse, and abuse has to stop. And if survivors are listening to me, you have my support and Dr. Jans Richards' support. We're here for you. You're not alone. And one last question. What share your message. Anything that you want to share to the world that is listening to us?
I want to say that we are living in a world where evil seems to be taking pride of place over good. We're living in a world where many more children are violated, molested, and harassed. We're living in a world where many more children are trafficked across the oceans and across different borders. But we are coming together to offer our support to these children and to their parents, and to say that we are the voice of the voiceless. We are the voice of the voiceless, and the hope to the hopeless, and the hope for the vulnerable, the needy, the orphans, and the widows. So we are encouraging everyone that nobody should stay behind. All those who have been molested in one way or the other should speak up, and we will do our best to reach them at the point of their needs. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to share with you and to learn from your experiences. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. John Richard, for being here. And it was a pleasure. And whenever you want to come back and speak at another podcast, you're welcome. And thank you very much to the viewers that are listening to us. And we will speak again soon.